Welcome to Flash from Scratch, Tutorial 20, Guided Tween. I have the CS5 program open and I'm starting a new FLA, keeping the default. By now you're wondering how many more tweens are there. Well, I'm going to start by making a oval. Pick up my oval tool and I'm going to put it so I can see all, fits the window. And I'm going to make a ball here holding my shift down. While it's still selected, I'm going to modify it, convert it to a symbol, and let's make it a graphic. I'm going to call it ball, B-A-L-L underscore GRP, just for good practices. And there it is. And let's do a basic motion tween first. Motion tween, and let's pick up to about 60 frames each there. And we're going to click in the 15 frame, insert a position, and move it down, my selection tool, move it down here. So go up to 30, insert a keyframe position, and move the ball up about a third of the way. Go to the 45 each position, insert a keyframe, and drop it back down. Go to, let's take down a little further. Let's go to the 55 position, insert a keyframe position, and bring it up a little bit, and one more at the end, and bring it back down. Now, if we tested that, it would be just like a saw, bing, 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 bang, bing, bang, bing, bang. Okay. We can expand it over time so it looks a little better. Now let's try it. Control, test movie, and it's still doing that jigsaw fare. Okay, what we could do now is take these with my selection tool. When I get that arch, there it is, and make that like an arc. Make this one an arc. Play around like that. We could do that. Make this one an arc. Play around like that. And this would give it more a realistic bounce. Just going to hit my enter key. Bing. You can see that's kind of what you'd want. Let's delete this layer completely. That doesn't delete our symbol. It's in the library right here. Let's drag it back out on the stage. Get it back on the stage. This time we're going to do a classic tween. So let's go up to about frame 60, insert a keyframe, click on it, drag it over, and anywhere in here right click, create a classic tween, and it just shoots across the stage, a straight classic tween. Now here's the good one. Lock this layer. See this little padlock? If I click here, that means I can't do anything with this layer. It's locked. It's safe. Go back to frame 1. Also notice this eyeball. If I click here, it hides everything on that layer. And let's click on this layer, double click, and call it the ball. B-A-L-L. And I want another layer. So come down here and see this little, looks like a page or something. Click on that, and there's a new layer. And we want to call this the guide, G-U-I-D-E. Now, select frame 1 of the guide, and there's my ball. Come over here in your tools and pick up pencil tool right here. Now, start drawing here. Start here, draw it, and make your first drop, your bounce, your bounce, your bounce. I don't like. Now, You see this square around here? I believe that means we're in the object mode. So click here, click on your pencil again, and you see how this is really big? Click on it so it's small. And now let's draw again. Pick up our pencil tool, bounce, 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 bounce. Now, I don't want this one, so I'm going to double click on it and delete it. Now notice here that went into something called the drawing mode. Go back to scene 1. If I double click on this one, it doesn't go into that drawing mode. Now right here, you see this S? If I click this, it's going to smooth my bumps out. There. So that's going to be the path. This is the path the ball is going to follow. So come up here, double click on this until this menu opens up, and click Guide right here. Guide. Okay. And you see this little, looks like a hammer, but it's supposed to be a square. Click right here on the ball layer. Click your mouse down and drag it up to the right. You get that little circle, leave it go. Now that little dotted line means that whatever this pattern is, the ball is going to follow it once we set it up. So lock the guide layer because I don't want to disturb it. Unlock the ball layer, and if I try to take the ball off, it automatically wants to snap back on that line. See that? Okay, so that's good for my first frame. Let's go up for my last frame right here for my ball. And we want to click on it and drag it down till the center of that circle is on the line. There they are. Now, press enter, and the ball follows the line. Very good tool. Control, test movie. Okay. Let's lock the ball layer, unlock the guide layer, double click till it's all, make sure all the path is highlighted. Press delete. Now go up to the last frame and make sure it's deleted there. Yes, it is. If it isn't, then just click on it and highlight and delete it. Go back to frame 1 of the guide layer. Come over where your rectangle tool is, click on the little corner and select the oval tool. Let's make sure we can see the full fits the window. And I want a black stroke, but I want no fill. So click here and go up where this white box with a red line through it. Click that, and now make an oval. There it is. Okay. And notice that the ball automatically snapped to that oval because it's a guided layer. Hit enter, and it didn't follow the guide. It didn't follow the guide because it doesn't know where to start or finish. So let's go back to frame 1 on the guide, and let's pick up the eraser tool right here and pick up down here the smallest eraser there is, and let's just put a little mark there. Now lock the guide layer, unlock the ball layer, first frame, grab the ball with the selection tool, grab the ball and put it right here. Again, make sure that this little circle, sometimes it has an X in it when it's on something, make sure that's on the line. Let's go to the last frame of the ball layer and pick the ball up and put it on the end one. And make sure it's right on that line. Now let's give it a little test, and it will follow that line. Let's do something similar. Let's click on this first. Let's lock the ball layer, unlock the guide layer. While it's all highlighted, delete it. Oops. Shouldn't hit the wrong button. Go back to frame 1. Make sure the frame is highlighted. If not, make sure the guide is highlighted. Otherwise, double click on it. Press delete. Now, let's show you that something else can work. This right here, the line tool. Let's select the line tool. Make a line. Make another line. Another line. make a bunch of lines. Okay, we haven't, again, I just tried to enter, but we haven't told it where to start and begin. So let's click frame 1 of the guide layer, lock the guide layer, unlock the ball layer, and with your selection tool, put the ball at the beginning of that line. Go to the last layer, the ball layer, and put it at the end of the line. Again, make sure that circle is right on the line, and press enter, and there it goes. Let's do it again. Now, I want to do something that build on something we already did. Let's double click on the ball. Oh, unlock the ball. Yep. Let's double click on the ball, and that puts us inside the ball graphic, the symbol, and now we can modify it. So click on the free transform tool, and let's make it a little bit longer. There we go. Pick up your selection tool, and let's just going to pull on that end, and we just want to make it so we can see that there's a front and a back to this. And let's go back to scene 1, and on our tween, click anywhere on our tween, open the properties, and let's do that orient to path again. Okay, so now when this goes around, it will face the direction of the path. Like a little mouse going there crawling around the floor. The last thing I want to talk about is if for some reason it doesn't work. If for some reason it doesn't work. Normally, if the tween here is good by itself, then the problem is with the guide. And there's two things you can check. Unlock the guide, and if you unlock the guide and select frame 1 and it all highlights, that normally means you have a completed line. Make sure you have it there, and make sure you have it at the end. And sometimes people just right click here and make sure this is it converted to a keyframe. I don't think that really matters whether you have that a keyframe or not, but that's something people do. But make sure on both the last frame that when I double click on it, everything highlights, and when I click here, everything, double click on it, everything highlights. If not, and there's a break anywhere in these corners where there's a vector point, then it won't work. That's the first thing that's easy to check. The second thing is lock the guide layer, check the ball layer, and frame 1. Now it's not with the older versions of Flash, this was a problem, but here this one snaps right in place. So that's really good. So but take it off and let it go back on, and here for sure on the last frame, even though you think it's on, zoom in on it if you have to. Zoom in on it and take it off and make sure you put it back on that circle. So if I just put it there, for example, it wants to snap back to that frame 1 point. If it's off, there, let's see here, this probably won't work. Yeah, see that? Because I wasn't on that line. See what it just did? So that shows you that it's got to be right on that line. There it is. It don't have to be on the end. It can be way back here and still work, but that's where it will stop. Right? So let's put it on the end as close as we can get to the end and still be on it. Oops, I went too far. There. Now let's give it one last test. Test movie test. And when we test it, unlike when we just hit the enter sign, which goes through the frames once, this will just go through the frames over and over again. And you can hardly see right here is where the gap is. I hope you learned something from this tutorial, and I hope you use what you learned.